الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu, recorded by Imam Bukhari in his Adab al-Mufrad, has mentioned from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that there is no Muslim who makes dua, ما من مسلم يدعو ليس بإثم ولا بقطيعة رحم, and does not make dua for sin, nor does he make dua for severing family ties, إلا أعطاه إحدى ثلاث, then one of three things will happen. So a Muslim, so long as he does not ask for sin, nor severing family ties, then one of three manifestations of his dua will take place. His dua will be answered in one of three ways. إِمَّا أَن يُعَجِّلَ لَهُ دَعْوَتَهُ, either that his dua will be hastened for him, in other words, that his dua will be accepted here in this world. فَيُجِيبُ اللَّهُ, the scholars explain that Allah Ta'ala will accept his dua, and the slave will see the dua that he's asking for fi dunya, and that could be in the form of asking for a certain ni'mah, a blessing, or also taking away a certain trial or harm away from him. So that's the first thing, that either the dua is accepted in this world, وَإِمَّا أَن يَدَّخِرَهَا لَهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ, or either that it will be stored for the supplicant, the one who's making dua, in the akhirah. And that has been explained that Allah Ta'ala will give it in the form as a reward on the Day of Judgment. And this could come in the form of بِعُلُوٍ فِي الدَّرَجَاتِ, that a person's darajat, degree and status is increased with Allah, or it could come in the form of a forgiveness from Allah or mercy, and Allah Ta'ala saving the person from a punishment. And the third way of how a person's dua can be accepted, or come in the form of وَإِمَّا أَن يَدْفَعَ عَنْهُ مِنَ السُّوءِ مِثْلَهَا. The hadith says that either that an evil, the like of what he's asking for, that will be removed from one's path. And this has been explained to be from the justice of Allah Ta'ala, because he has removed evil to the extent of one's dua. So the more one asks dua, and if it is that it's decreed that it will come in the form that Allah Ta'ala will remove any evil, any type of affliction, any type of difficulty away from a person to the extent of their dua. So these essentially are the three ways of how the dua manifests. Either the person gets it in this very world, or it's stored for the person in the akhirah, or the evil of what the like of what he's asking for will be removed from him. And another narration in Tirmidhi mentions that وَإِمَّا أَن يُكَفِّرَ عَنْهُ مِنْ ذُنُوبِهِ بِقَدْرِ مَا دَعَى, or that sins will be forgiven to the extent of one's dua. So it's also a means of sins being forgiven. For the Quran says, إِنَّ الْحَسَنَاتِ يُذْهِبْنَ السَّيِّئَاتِ, indeed good deeds, they annul, they take away bad deeds. And specifically and that also works for dua as well. And to the extent of one's dua, how much and how often a person makes, that inshallah will be commensurate in terms of how much sins would also be forgiven as well. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they said then, إِذَن نُكْثِرْ, if that's the case, that we can never lose, we always win, either it's given to us in this world, or it'll be stored for us in the akhirah, or the evil of what we're asking for, it will be removed from our path, or a sin would be forgiven. In that case, nukthir, we will make dua in abundance. because we can never ever lose. We're always going to win. Allah Ta'ala will accept the dua, but yes, the form of the dua, when it's coming, it will differ. Qala Allahu Akthar, and the Prophet ﷺ explained, Allahu Akthar, Allah is greater. In other words, the treasures and that which belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of what He can provide and how He answers His dua, there's nothing which limits Allah Ta'ala's mercy, Allah Ta'ala's forgiveness, Allah Ta'ala's bounty and blessing. That which belongs to, which is a part of the treasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's no limit to this, and therefore a person could continue to make dua as long as they want and as much as they want, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will still have, from His side, His generosity is endless, and He will keep on giving and giving and giving. Now, two etiquettes, inshallah, we want to mention further to what we had mentioned last week. Last week we had mentioned the etiquette of praising Allah Ta'ala before the dua and praying upon the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam as well. And in fact, this should also be at the end of one's dua as well. And the second etiquette would be raising one's hands while making dua. And the third one we had done was facing the Qibla. Today, inshallah, we will look at a third or fourth and a fifth etiquette, and that would be the etiquette of making wudu, being in the state of wudu when making dua. So of the etiquettes of dua is that a person be in a state of wudu, ritual purity, while making dua. And this is confirmed in the hadith of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, in which he stated that the Prophet ﷺ, after the battle of Hunayn, called for water, performed wudu, then raised his hands and said, "O Allah, forgive Ubayd Abi Amir." And Abu Musa radiallahu anhu said, I could see the whiteness of his armpits. Ubayd Abi Amir was the uncle of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiallahu anhu. And in a narration which is in Bukhari, it mentions that Ubayd Abi Amir, the uncle of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, he was wounded and he passed away from that wound. But prior to his passing away, he instructed his nephew Abu Musa that asked the Prophet ﷺ to ask Allah to forgive me. And when Abu Musa al-Ash'ari came to the Prophet ﷺ and had conveyed his message to him sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam called for water and made wudu. Then only he raised his hands and he said, Allahumma khfir li Ubayd Abi Amir. O Allah, forgive Ubayd Abi Amir. And Abu Musa radiallahu anhu, he says that I seen the whiteness of the arms, underarms of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the whiteness of his armpits. ثم قال, then the Prophet ﷺ even made further dua for him and said, Allahumma ja'alhu yawm al-qiyamah fawqa kathirin min al-khalqiq min al-nas. Fawqa kathirin min khalqika min al-nas. O Allah, make him on the day of judgment above many of your creation amongst the mankind. And Abu Musa radiallahu anhu, he also sought to take advantage of this opportunity. And he asked the Prophet ﷺ, also ask forgiveness on my behalf. And the Prophet ﷺ made dua, Allahumma khfir li Abdullah ibn Qais dhanbah. O Allah, forgive his sin. وَأَدْخِلْهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ مُدْخَلًا كَرِيمًا. And grant him on the day of judgment a noble station. So this was the first etiquette for today, and that was to make wudu. And the second etiquette, inshallah, which we will be sharing today, is the presence of an attentive heart. The whole point of dua is that a person call out with a sincere heart to his Creator, and this sincerity cannot be achieved if one calls out heedlessly, without earnestness. The Prophet ﷺ said, make dua to Allah in a state that you are certain that your dua will be responded to, and know that Allah does not respond to a dua that originates from a negligent, inattentive heart. Make dua to Allah in a state that you are certain that your dua will be responded to, and know that Allah does not respond to a dua that originates from a negligent, inattentive heart. This shows that the dua must be made with a mindful heart, such that one knows exactly what one is asking for and remembers who he is asking, for he is asking the Lord of honor. It does not befit, therefore, a servant to ask his Lord in a neglectful manner, such that he is not even aware of what he is saying. There's another hadith that also helps clarify this point. Imam Ahmad reports from Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, hearts are like vessels. Some have greater capacity than others. Therefore, O people, when you ask from Allah, all glory and praise be to Him, ask from Him in a state in which you are certain that your prayers will be answered. For verily Allah does not accept from His slave any dua that is made from a neglectful heart. Al-Hafidh An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala stated, know that the purpose of dua is that one have an attentive heart towards Allah, as we have already mentioned, and the proofs for this are more than can be mentioned, and the knowledge of it is so apparent that it need not be discussed. So after looking at the encouragement towards dua, or the virtue of dua, that is always accepted and it comes in different forms, and the two etiquettes, namely being in the state of wudu and also making dua with the presence of an attentive heart, we will inshallah now look at one dua. We will share a dua which is a means of protection, and that is the dua which is recorded in the Sunan of Abi Dawood from Anas ibn Malik from the Prophet ﷺ, who said, إِذَا خَرَجَ الرَّجُلُ مِنْ بَيْتِهِ, when a person leaves from their home. And of course, at this time, we're being encouraged to stay home as much as possible. But when there are essential errands, or if a person's going for a walk, or just getting fresh air and leaving the home, of course, while physically distancing, then the following dua should be made, and that is, Bismillah, tawakkaltu ala Allah, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. 3 very short and easy dua, and that is Bismillah, that in the name of Allah I begin. Tawakkaltu ala Allah, I place my reliance and my trust in Allah. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, there's no might and there's no power to do any good or to stay away from any evil save through Allah. Qal, then it would be said at that time, the angels would make a dua, that hudita wa kufita wa wuqita, that Allah, you have been guided, Allah has guided you, wa kufita, and you have been sufficed, Allah has made you sufficient, has sufficed you, wa wuqita, and you have been protected, Allah has protected you. And that's where it's connected, amongst other benefits, of course, of this dua, but وَوُقِيتَ, you have been protected, مِن كُلِّ شَرٍ, from every evil, وَكُلِّ سُوءٍ, and every unpleasant thing. Inshallah, you will be protected. Of course, along with that, a person, for their essential errands, take their precautions, but the barakah, inshallah, and the blessing of this dua will be that a person will be protected. فَتَتَنَحَّى لَهُ الشَّيَاطِينَ, not only physical protection, but also a spiritual also protection and shield as well, because the shayateen will also be aloof and step aside from this person. فَيَقُولُ شَيْطَانٌ آخَرٌ, and another shaitan would say, فَيَقُولُ, that, they would have a conversation amongst one another, and would say, كَيْفَ لَكَ بِرَجُلٍ قَدْ هُدِيَ وَكُفِيَ وَوُقِيَ, how can you ever dissuade and misguide a person who has been guided, they have been sufficed, and they have been protected. So inshallah, in summary, today's session essentially was the benefit and the encouragement towards dua, as making as much as possible, like the Sahaba radiallahu anhum they had made that intention, and they would make that dua in abundance to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala their needs in this world and in the everlasting life of the akhirah, to gain blessings and to keep away from harm. And the manifestation of that dua would either be in this world, or either will be saved as a reward for them in the akhirah, or the evil of the like of what they're asking for, that will be removed to that extent. And to the extent of their dua, another narration indicates that their sins would also be forgiven. The two etiquettes we mentioned essentially was to be in the state of wudu, and to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with an attentive heart. And the dua, which we had mentioned today, is a means of also protection when leaving one's home, with the background of what we mentioned. And the dua again is Bismillahi tawakkaltu ala Allah, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Bismillahi tawakkaltu ala Allah, in the name of Allah I begin and I place my trust in Allah. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There's no might, there's no power to do good or to stay away from any evil save with Allah Ta'ala's permission. And just as a side note, saying Bismillah or Bismillah Rahman Rahim is encouraged inshallah before doing anything. And the benefit of that is that a person will be starting sort of to say with the right foot, in the right manner, that they're starting and beginning and taking Allah's name. And secondly, there'll be barakah, there'll be blessing in what they do, and also there'll be a tawfiq and a guidance that they'll be able to complete the task at hand as well. وَجَزَاكُمُ اللَّهُ خَيْرًا وَبَارَكَ اللَّهُ فِيكُمْ وَآخِرُ دَعْوَانَا أَنِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ.